This video gives thoughts on how teachers who are doing work on getting their practice better can prepare that work for presentation to an authentic audience in an authentic way. First, a note about what authentic work wouldn't be. So if you're a student in one of my courses, or if you're taking a course anywhere in a school of education, here's who the authentic audience isn't, and that's me, your professor. Because pretty much we all know what you do with work like that. You submit it, and then probably promptly press the delete key, or it ends up gathering dust on your shelf or in the shelf in your laptop. I'm not an authentic audience. So let's think about 3 authentic audiences as examples. Well, the first one, look back there. There's my desk. And I want you to think about maybe you're preparing your work for a teacher like that who would be viewing your work individually somewhere in the world. You would probably post it to the internet in a way that teachers could search it out. And that's an authentic audience because you're preparing it for individual teachers, real teachers who might tap into your work to answer real questions that they have. Got 2 other audiences for you to think about. So let's head this way. And on the way, the second audience is very natural. It's, if you're teaching, it's teachers in your school. They are an authentic audience. You could prepare your work in a way that you could give it to them, a few of them, several of them, present it at a faculty meeting, but they are an authentic audience because they are real teachers and they might really care about your work. And then the third audience, so look here, sitting in my living room, and think about a group of teachers who might gather together to tap into your work authentically. And so you'd be thinking there for probably like a PLC or a PLN, Professional Learning Network, and how they may use your work as a springboard. And of course, they may have a cup of coffee, sit around, and discuss your work as part of their professional learning. So that would be, that 30 audience would be a small group of teachers gathered informally, or if it's a PLC, they may be formally meeting together, but meeting together face-to-face in a small group. Those are 3 examples of possible authentic audiences. So who do you want to do your work for? The real group of people, not inauthentic people like a professor in a course. A real group of people that might tap into your work and learn from it. That's an authentic audience. Then there's also the part of preparing authentic work for that authentic audience. So let's think about that briefly. Back to the example of my desk and you're preparing for an individual teacher. Well, you could prepare a 20-page Word document for them, but is that really what they want from you? Would they prefer a brief summary video maybe, where they see your face, hear you talk, and describe what you come up with? What about a narrated PowerPoint or a narrated presentation, but with you narrating it to them? So what you have to think about is if you're preparing work for individual teachers to look at, what would be authentic for them to read in a natural, read and review in a natural sort of way so that it's engaging for them and it gets the information to them. Actually, one thing that works well for there is a series of blog posts. Picture that, where they're tapped into your blog and they're seeing several different blog posts that are summarizing key things you found. And with each blog post, there's a link out to a great reference or 2. Now that would be authentic for me if I were that teacher reading. Let's think about teachers in your school if you're teaching. What's authentic for them? Well, you could email the information to them. But all of us who've been teachers know that when an email comes in like that, it's fighting for attention with a bunch of other stuff, and the easiest thing to do is just press delete. So what would be authentic for those teachers? Well, one of the things that was a captive audience was a departmental meeting, so you could do a PowerPoint or a Prezi that you could present briefly at a departmental meeting. Again, think authentic. It doesn't need to be 30 minutes. You lose people's interest. 5 to 10 sounds more authentic to me for that audience. What about a pamphlet or a brochure? Do teachers in your school read that? So the question there is, for that audience of real teachers, what is authentic for them to learn well, learn easily the information that you're trying to give them? And then for the example here of a small group of teachers sitting around, well, if they're talking, what would you have in their hands for them to talk about? What about an executive summary or a list of bullet points that they might look through? What about a web quest? Would a group of teachers like to sit around with their laptops and click through a web quest or something like that, where they're clicking, looking, learning, and then discussing with each other what they're learning? That's probably enough. I hope you've got the sense of authentic audiences and authentic work for them. So authentic work has to be defined in the terms of the authentic audience and what's authentic to them. The bottom line for all this, though, is you'll end up doing real work for real people and communicating with them in a real way. Hope that helps.